So we begin the first discussion of the program today, and that's about the sack of the Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi, as well as his deputy Eric Igwe, the Speaker and other members of the State House of Assembly. This was declared by a federal high court over their defection to the All Progressives Congress, the APC. And this situation now brings to the fore the sit-tight syndrome among politicians. But make no mistake about the fact that the governor and the others affected by the Tuesday judgment have rights of appeal. Claims that it was purchased to favor the People's Democratic Party and embarrass the APC. Now, this may beg the question, but Governor Umahi, who declared that he is still in charge, has vowed to appeal the judgment. And while the PDP has nominated Igwe and Fred Odogu as replacements, sending their names to the Independent National Electoral Commission to declare them as governor and deputy governor of the Southeast state instead. And that's how we begin discussions today. Judicial, not only did Governor Umahi reject outrightly the decision of Justice Enyang, or in that Tuesday decision, he has even gone on to petition him to the NJC, citing judicial rascality, and that in itself has also, drew the eye of the NBA, slamming the government's words, describing it as harsh and uncalled for. Let's begin from that twist now. How do you see yesterday's happenings with the updates of today?
The governor, Dave Umahi, went too far in his comments because while the judgment was not favorable to him, but then the comments, alleging that the judge, had a pre-position, that they had anticipated that he would take that decision to embarrass the APC and the federal government, insinuating that the judge is biased. I think it's very wrong. The judge is not saying you should vacate your position. You still have rooms for the appellate court and the Supreme Court to seek redress. So instead of ventilating your anger, on the judge for the decision which he has taken, you should have just proceeded to do what he eventually did today. Absolutely. By going to the appeal court. That does not, however, mean that the ruling was a good ruling. Especially given several instances from the past. You see, the judge relied on the Amaechi case and that of INEC versus Faleke to come to a conclusion, but then that has since been, it's no longer position of the law. The real position of the law these days is that of Atiku versus Atiku and others versus Attorney General of the Federation in 2007, where the Supreme Court averred that he can actually contest on the platform. He can defect to any party, especially bearing in mind that the person involved here, the dramatis personae, the governor, the deputy, has immunity under Section 109 of the Constitution against criminal and civil proceedings. So
let me compare Mr. Mojijamu's assessment now with yours. How much of valid grounds does Governor Umahi and his deputy have for appeal now that they've gone on upstairs, they've gone on to the Court of Appeal?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but from the little we have read and seen in the past, very valid grounds, solid. But the big question to ask ourselves is, how tolerant are our politicians to opposition? Because that's what this is all about. Like he said, the Supreme Court has ruled. In the case of Atiku Abubakar leaving the People's Democratic Party for the Action Congress, very clearly in that judgment by Justice Walter Onogen, he says There is nowhere in the 1999 Constitution that it is stated that the President or Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be removed or is removable from that office if he defects from the political platform he was elected to that office and joins another political party. Very clear. But then there is also what we must consider. What were the things put forward before Justice Inyangekwo for him to have arrived at that conclusion? Were these positions properly argued? What were the things that came into play? Because it's what you present in particular instances before the court that the court will rely on. If you go there and your case is not properly
well
presented because you feel that there is already a judgment that favors you, you are not likely to come out unscathed. But then for me, that is not even the meat of the matter. It is the reaction of the governor that is the meat of the matter. Here is somebody who wants to become the president.
Absolutely.
Lambasting the judiciary this way over one judgment that wasn't in his favor. So what does he do when he becomes president? In that state, he has been labeled as being autocratic, not willing to listen to other people's views. When you watch it, he's one of the governors with the highest turnover of assistants, aides. He just hires, he fires, and when he feels like they have begged me enough, he brings them back. If he doesn't want to bring them back, he leaves them to go. That is not a good virtue of a leader. You've got to be able to listen, be sober, especially in moments of anger. Especially at a time when you need to react to issues such as this. I mean, what he went overboard yesterday. And that's why I won't fault the Nigerian Bar Association describing what he did as there
were words of being authoritarian.
It says,
and even asking him to retract,
and apologize. Impunity of the highest order and executive rascality taken too far. And I support it because you know that you have a room to appeal. It's your right. That's what you should have done yesterday instead of talking to the media. What you needed to have done would have been, we're already in court and we are going to appeal this judgment. Not for you to go on and begin to lambast the judiciary. You should know that there are three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and judiciary. If you're able to control the legislature in your state, then don't try to control the judiciary at the federal level. Even if you're able to control the judiciary in your own state, we shouldn't see you as somebody who wants to run the executive, ride roughshod over the legislature, and then pocket the judiciary. That shouldn't be. That's not the kind of president we are looking forward to.
Another concern from the feedback of what Governor Umahi also said in the sharp reaction to Tuesday's judgment. Another concern was how his stance at that time would also sit among his supporters, that this might also be a call for anarchy. And we did see how the APC in the state also, I guess tried to lessen the impact of the governor's statement yesterday. But looking at that now and the fact that, yes, indeed, he has declared his intention to run as president, do you think, this might actually affect his chances?
Yeah, well, in Nigeria, anything happens, so they say, and we forget things quite often, and I don't think if it will affect his chances. That's if he has any anyway. The chairmanship of or rather, the candidates for presidential elections will emerge by June 3rd. I mean, we have less than 3 months to see how Umahi canvasses for votes and wins the hearts of delegates with that kind of attitude. But having said that, looking at that judgment now, and I think our judicial should, harmonize positions. There was a similar case in Zamfara where a Zamfara High Court said it lacks jurisdiction in handling situations like that. APC won Zamfara through the electoral process. The court ruled in favor of PDP. So from House of Assembly up to National Assembly level, they went, it turned PDP. Now, the PDP governor in Zamfara, Matawale, defected to APC, with the exception of the deputy, who was later impeached. Now, the party, PDP, went to court that, no, guy, you cannot defect to APC, but they lost. Now, Umahi should have taken a hint from that, rather than that going for that outburst on the judiciary, especially given the fact that, even laymen know that the procedure, the court proceedings from the appellate to the Supreme Court will take more than a year. You have almost like a year left to serve. It's not likely that you will be removed, even if it gets to the Supreme Court before in the next 1 year, so to say. Now, apart from that, is the fact that, just like Dotun said, you don't rely on past judgments. You should argue your case. It's lawyers who were hanging their case on the fact that the governor and deputy has immunity. No, it goes beyond that. You are quoting section 109 of the Constitution, whereas section 68, gave very clear directives on how lawmakers, both at the national and the state assemblies, could be removed when they cross carpet, when they change from one political party to the other. But then the Constitution, was a bit silent on
specifically on the
that of president, vice president, governors, and deputies. And you see, our judiciary, our law keeps evolving, just like the Faleke case threw us into a state of confusion. Okay. It took senior lawyers
Mr. Jami, let me interrupt you. We have a first caller. Charles, welcome to the program. Please join in the conversation.
Good evening.
Good evening. Carry on, please.
Please, my name is Charles. I'm calling from Lagos, precisely in Mushi local government.
That's great. Carry on, please.
I'm not fine. I'm from Ebonyi. Hello, can you hear me?
Carry on. Yes, you're live.
I'm from Ebonyi, and I can see what is happening for my governor now. I am not happy. What I just want to comment is that I want to appeal to our father, that is the President Mohammed Buhari, to try to do what he can do, because this is a miscarriage of justice. How can they remove a sitting governor because they have conspired against him with his deputy?
All right, Mr. Charles, thank you so much for your feedback. If you've been following the program, the governor and every other person who may be aggrieved by that decision, of course, have channels, further channels to air their grievances and await a final verdict on the matter. And the last is obviously not yet heard on this issue. Looking at the action of the PDP now, coming into this controversy, bringing out the names of their replacements, and they say that they don't know or they don't care whether the parties concerned may have appealed, but theirs is just to see that the words or the judgment of Justice Eko yesterday are obeyed to the letter.
It's the right of the party what they have done, clearly, because if you don't explore and exploit every opportunity that you have, you're going to lose out. It is not impossible that there will be loopholes here and there. There have been situations where the Independent National Electoral Commission had taken some decisions based on the fact that, see, you have brought your case here, and this case appears valid. If, for instance, while that judgment is in abeyance, the governor has not gone on appeal, the judgment from the Federal High Court goes to INEC, and it doesn't have the appeal from the governor, and waits for the maximum time to do so, and it doesn't come, it will send the PDP candidate.
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of playing your cards well. It's what we call try your luck. So that's what PDP has done. It's nothing out of place.
So it's in order.
It's in order.
Indeed. All right, gentlemen, we'll suspend our conversation on this issue for now.